the other part of the hotel motel tax along with the EMS and the hospital, and we definitely can't do without that. But what I'm here, and I've spoke to David and Jamie before about this, is our emergency shelter. We have got to build some emergency shelters, and I think it falls back on the county commission to provide that. We sat in here after the Duray show with you, David, and the First Lady, and discussed our problems that we had. You know, our volunteers were out during the Duray show, during the winter storms, working our tails off, providing services to the community. You know, we were doing things that the fire departments normally don't do, but we were out there. But, you know, we've got to come up with something, whether it comes from the hotel motel tax or the line item or something to get some shelters going in this county, because that's going to be the norm as far as I'm concerned. As far as the weather, we're going to get this crazy weather. We should have snow, not rain right now. You know, something's wrong. But you know, we've got to, you know, you guys as our commissioners need to take the lead and get something going to get these shelters up and running, because you know, we had a power outage a couple of weeks ago. We had people from the Morrington community coming to the firehouse because it was cold. They needed heat. And you know, we do have it's not a shelter. And I want to get away from the fire department as being a shelter, because you know, I don't want to run over a kid taking an engine out. But you know, we've got that to keep in the back of our minds. You know, probably in the back of our minds needs to move to the front. You know, everybody needs money, but we've got to get these shelters up and running.
Do you have any suggestions for shelters? Is the school not a viable alternative? Or?
There's no power. We've got to get power, and back in the duration, most of the school system they do not have air conditioning in the schools anyway. So you're going to have to provide generator plus air conditioning. You know, the schools would be a great place, other than the Morganton Elementary School. Have we even asked the school board if we can use those? You know, I know we've used them in the past, but do we have something in writing? You know,
we don't have anything in writing, but they did express to me just a couple of weeks ago that they are interested in being sheltered, but as Herbie said, without some outside generator source, they're just not a viable thing other than in floods and things like that, where the tower may happen to still be on at some of those schools. And the commission prior asked me to get a quote on what it would cost to put a generator in the schools. We just did one school, Morganton Middle School. It's going to be over $100,000 to get a generator that powers that facility. So from that, through my office and some volunteers, we have been working with doing some just smaller shelters at the community centers, just various churches, places like that were interested in just being shelters and having more than a few, just having several small shelters. But again, we're running into the problem with those groups. Hey, we'd love to be a shelter, but we need money to buy a generator so we can be a shelter. And some of them have taken initiative and spent their own money to do that. But there are more than that that would love to help. They just don't have the funding to have a generator. And that's all they're asking for, just that. So I agree that is something that I think that we need to look at, whether it be a line item or out of, you know, another place contingency fund that the county has, or from this hotel motel money. It needs to be considered, because that truly, as we've seen in the last 6 months here, affects everyone in this county. Whether you use a shelter or not, to actually stay in there, you go there to get water, or go there to get information on what's going on, or just any number of things. So it is a very important thing.
Difficult to come up with money to do all the worthwhile projects.
I understand that it's difficult, but you know, everybody's asking for money, and you know, we don't even have a committee on identifying shelters and what we may need. Do we need to have a committee to check with the Board of Education? Sean just said that we could, but do we have it in writing? You know, what is it going to cost to power part of it? You know, can we power showers? You know, I was lucky in maintain water, and I had a camper that a generator would run during the duration, so I slept in a camper for 9 days. But for those 9 days, Sean, myself, and all the other volunteers in the county, you talk about volunteer hours. Come on out to the fire department and volunteer some hours. You know, we were out night and day, you know, providing anything from tree removal from the roadways to LZs for patients going out of the hospital. and not just the Wallington department, but all the departments in the county work their tails off to do that. We've got to get some shelters. You know, we've talked about it. Let's do it. And if it takes hotel motel tax to do it, that's what we need to do. You know, there may be grants, but is anybody pursuing it?
You know, this has become, I guess inherently is, more than a hotel motel tax discussion. This is necessarily a budgeting discussion as we're going to March too. So one thing that's become adamantly clear tonight is that there isn't enough hotel motel tax money. Revenues are going down. There's more needs. Gosh, I mean that's a real challenge.
I mean, we've talked about it in the past. I haven't talked to you, Owen. You just came on board, but you know, I've worked with David and Jane in the past with things that you know, and during those storms and you know, emergencies, we need to see you guys out there too. You know, we need to be able to know where you're at, so we can, if we have an issue that we have to take to the state level, we have to have a commissioner's approval. And you know, I know where you live, but I'm busy doing other things, so you need to come to us.
The Rachel taught us a lot about that. Me personally, I accept a lot of fair blame for not being present in the commission.
I'm not here to blame anybody.
I understand, but it does cause me to personally to have learned the importance of exactly what you said. And I'm glad that from that the LEPC has been reformed.
And it's the same people in the LEPC that's doing the other stuff too. You know, it's the same core group of people that's doing all this, but we've got to take that next step and get these shelters identified and do what it takes to power them so we can protect our community. That's what it's all about. Without the community, we're not going to need any of the arts council, any of the libraries, or anything like that. You know, we've got to be able to operate. And, you know, we were way behind during these two past storms.
Of course, in my opinion, the power company could do a better job, and we wouldn't be without power for 12 days, and that shouldn't happen.
I understand that, but it wasn't just Pocahontas County, West Virginia that was affected. It was the whole East Coast. And, you know, the fire department could do better. The county commission could do better. We all could do better. But you know, we've got to take that step because it's the weather system. It's the weather pattern that we're in. We've got strange storms. I've seen snow on the 31st of October, but I haven't seen that much snow. And I was stuck for 4 hours on Route 39 trying to get to work on my cruise. I had to sit there for 4 hours until someone came along with the chain pulled out. You know, we've got to protect our own people, and the shelters have got to become a priority for the commission. Please. And if that means that you need a committee to research that, you know, I would be more than glad to do my part with that. But I think you as a commission needs to come up with that committee to get sorted. You know, we can all work together with the groups. You know, the observatory, they opened everything they had up there because they had some generator power. We've got a 60 kW generator from Wallington Firehouse. Got an 800 amp service. It only serves part of it. We can go in there and take cold showers because our hot water heater wasn't hooked up to the generator. So we're going to have to go back and buy an 800 amp transfer switch so we can power the whole building, and that's going to be about $15,000 just for the switch. So, you know, you talk power, you talk a lot of money, and I understand what you're saying, Dolan, as far as the fire company can do better. But we as a community have to protect each other. I think we need to think about that. And as far as the fire board, what they receive, the EMS and the hospital, you know, that's the other part of the pie that, you know, and we can't cut that. You know, that's needed. We could use more. You know, replacement fire trucks, $500,000. You said a turnout here is $3,500 per person.
Where's all the money coming from?
I don't know, Don. You know, I don't know. We try our best, but you know, we as a whole as first responders in this county, you know, I've traveled throughout the state with my career, and we in Pocahontas County can compete with some of the paid departments in the bigger areas. I've seen that. We've got a great group of volunteer workers that do a service for this community that get their guts stomped out for the most part, you know, for running up and down the roads with the lights on, driving too fast and things like that. But, you know, we're just doing it to save property and lives. I think we need to make a step towards those shelters.
Well, with your experience from the shelters, I know from just some of my scenes of what I seen from the ratio going on, there was a lot of people that needed supplies, but their ego or whatever was just too stubborn to come out and get it or ask for it.
Right.
But on the other hand, there was a lot of people that had electricity or had water or had food and was there eating every day and carrying cases of water out.
I know for a fact if you came to the Marlington Firehouse for water and you were on city water, you did not get a case of water from us. You know, we weren't doing that. We were out delivering water in areas that didn't have it. And, you know, there needs to be a public information campaign through the newspaper or in the radio. I mean, people need to be prepared to take care of themselves for at least 72 hours. It may take me 72 hours to get food, you know, but the way things are, you know, we need to prepare for that, and we're not at this point. Sean, you've got some stuff coming in a couple of weeks as far as supply.
Yeah, we've got some supplies coming in just in a couple of weeks, but it's minimal supplies. And like Herbie said, the public needs to be prepared to take care of themselves instead of relying on the county to help them, you know, first hour the power goes out. That's, you know, just can't always happen.
I lost everything I had at my house in the refrigerator, freezer, because I was out helping everybody else. You know, I was gone for the first 24 hours of this morning, helping other people. I was able to bring my chest freezer to the firehouse, plug it until we had the fire there, but we ate what was in the freezer, feeding the first responders. So, you know, and I don't care about my stuff because that's the way I was raised. But, you know, we've got to do something for these shelters. And I think it's up to you guys to support that. And, you know, you'll get help from other people once you get started.
And I think if you're on the job, this is the most challenging budgeting year I've seen. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, we have less money, more requests.
I understand, but if we don't take care of our people, who's going to request the money?
Well, of course, I had the same problem. I've solved my problem. I bought my own generator.
I understand. I've got one coming too.
And there's a lot of us probably that solved that problem. And you're not going to have as many needing those shelters as there were past because.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but look at the elderly people we have in this community and the number of people that live off of the system. We're going to have the same amount of people. You know, the people that you're talking about that are taking care of themselves, that's what Jamie said, they're not going to come and ask. But we've got a core group of people in this community that we as workers and taxpayers paid in the state of the house. That number increases every year. So, you know, I don't mean to be disrespectful and not agree with what you're saying. But, you know, we've got people that are living off the system, which the system is us every day, and that number is growing in this community.
Fort County government can't fund everything, every request. It's difficult. I'm not going to get into it.
I just wanted to throw that. I just wanted to throw that out there. And the fire department and the EMS, you know, both authorities appreciate the piece of the pie that they get. But, you know, I'm sure if you look through this room, someone in this room has been helped by one squad or the other throughout this fire. We'll make it both.
And most of them are volunteers, and you know, we appreciate all that.
And the levy is something that we've discussed, you know, Morganton does have a fire fee, but it's been $25 since 1972.
Yeah, it should have been raised a long time ago.
But can people afford to pay a higher fire?
I don't know.
Well, can we afford to not be responsible in raising the appropriate for?
I just wanted to throw that out there to you.
This might be a suggestion, raise that fire fee to $50 because they have it for all the county, about every county is raising $50. You know, if they,
But that's the only community in the county that has a fire fee is Morganton. And it's just the citizens that live in the city limits that have to pay.
Yeah.
If your house catches on fire, you're going to get Morganton and probably Frost. But you know, Morganton's going to be the first one there. They're going to be the primary first dispatch. So, you know, do you pay the fire fee? Do you pay the Morganton fire fee for $25?
I think we do. I have to check with my wife, of course, it pays most of the bills.
I understand, but
If we don't, I think we're paying.
I understand. You know, there too, it needs to be, you know, advertised, you know, as to what it covers. I know people in other areas give donations to other departments that are actually in our response center. They get other squads coming in and say, hey, why don't you donate to us? And they give them a $25 check. And it's not going to help them because that department's not going to be there. But on behalf of the fire board, we appreciate the money you give us. On behalf of the EMS board, we appreciate the money you give us. I just wanted to throw that out there about the shelters. I know we've talked about it before, Dave.
Yeah.
And you know, we need to move forward.
I agree that we need to find
I mean, if we can get one done,
responsible in part to help solve this problem.
if we can get one done and do another one the next year, you know, we can't afford to do it all, but we need to do at least one shelter. And it needs to be away from the firehouse. You know, because there's stuff going in and out of the firehouse all the time.
Before I forget, Kirby, just want to make sure on the record that you're asking that we at least don't decrease the present funding levels.
I don't think you can decrease the fire and the EMS.
Okay, what's the code on that? I can't decrease
The
the
code is
50,000
up
for
to-
fire and 75 for EMS.
Yeah, 50,000 and 150,000 for medical purposes, which is the EMS and hospital.
But we have 150,000 that we have to give toward medical. In the play,
Well, the total is 200,000, but I think that of that 50,000 can be allotted to Firemen's Association. I can pull the code if you'd like me to.
I don't know. I'll just say right up front, I do not intend to tamper with the amounts set for the hospital, the emergency medical services, Firemen's Association. Bricks and mortar fund may be something we can tamper with. That's our money. You'll have to help us figure out how we're doing.
We have a substantial balance in brick and mortar.
See, that might be something we could take a hit on.
But if you do get a generator, make sure it stays on a trailer. Because if you take it off of the trailer, you're going to have to do a environmental impact study. If it stays on a trailer, you don't need that. Just to let you know.
Write that down.
We had a big generator here. Old Henry brought a generator. I don't know what happened.
It went to Jefferson County. It belonged to the state of West Virginia.
I know, but we ran over here because I had to start it every once a month for years.
They requested that it be transferred to Jefferson County, and the commission at the time did propose it.
But it was a big generator.
Yeah, it was a big generator. It ran one of the schools. Nice, but let it go.
I mean, there may be some military surplus, but we don't have a group of people working on it. We have a group of people talking about it, but we don't have a group of people working. I'm not asking for any money for it right now, but we may need it. But we need to as a group appointed to start working on it.
I don't want to drag us off topic again. I've been really good at that tonight, but
I'm sorry.
LEPC committee to talk to the schools, I think that's the LEPC to talk about.
And like I said, I have spoken with them, and it's a matter of getting something in writing. There was a prior written agreement just for Morganton Middle School, but we've got several other options with them. We need to get in writing.
Well, as far as just physical manpower, would it not be to a positive note to have one rather than 5 or 6 scattered out throughout the county?
I totally agree with that. But the thing about your shelter is, you know, during the flood, the county becomes separated because we can't get That's why I'm saying 2 for now. We'll do 1 for now. I don't care where it is. We'll get the people there. We have to get a helicopter in to get them to where the shelter is at. But we don't have any at this point.
And that was the situation with the ratio. So many of the roads were blocked off that people couldn't, if you had shelter at the high school, there was virtually no way to get there unless you lived at the high school. So that's why we actually need more shelters. But I agree with her. We can get started with 1 this year and 1 next year. And maybe 5 years we'll have a good number.
I didn't mean to throw a wrench in the meeting there.
Everybody brought wrenches tonight. It's okay.
Everybody needs money and there's none there, is the way it appears. So, you could do a whole lot if you had a whole lot of money.
Well, I think you're taking what I'm saying. I'm not specifically asking for money, but we need to get something going with a group of people. And I'm on the LAPC committee as well, and we've been meeting on a monthly basis trying to get some things set up. But this is something that you guys, as commissioners, we're going to come to you eventually if you want the LAPC committee to take the reins and try to get the shelter set up. Let Sean know, and we'll be glad to do that. But we're going to come to you eventually asking for some money for some shelter somewhere. And, one in Green Bank, 1 in Marlington. The next year, 1 in Hillsborough, 1 at the high school. You have schools, you have showers, you have commercial kitchens, you have individual rooms that you can divide people up in. You got plenty of volunteers that are working. We just don't have a place for them to work. And I'll guarantee you, if you didn't think we wasn't going to be tired again, you would have locked in. I've got one coming through.
I've solved my problem. I don't need to say anything.
If I don't get mine in before the next storm, we might come up our stage or other time.
That'll be fine.
There you go. Make it better.
Well, the worst problem I see, even with people that aren't prepared, if you're like I was, you work on the generator for 2 days cleaning the old gas out of it to get it ready.
There you go.
It didn't do much good to have it, and once I got it cleaned up to the ground, I went to buy gas and didn't even get gas.
Propane. Personal recommendation.
The generator caught on fire.
If you have propane heater to use for your home, it's probably more sensible, and this is what we've done, is to put a propane generator in, hook into the main line. You're going to have propane for your heat because you've done that already for winter or for summer. So you've got a little bit to keep going. If something happens, you can't get the gas going.
We appreciate your comments, Herb. We'll try to come up with some solution next meeting or so.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments on who's going to retail tax tonight or revenue?
I just did an email today, and the lady after just presented to the commissioner before you do the allotment. She asked me that she could remain anonymous, so I gave everybody a copy of it. Just want to read it.
One page like that?
Yeah, it's on the back of your, the one that's got the personal motor section, on the very back. I marked her name off because she asked me if she could be anonymous.
I don't know if we need to present that. That's right.
She asked me how to read it.
I don't know if we need to read it if we're presenting officers. That's my opinion. You can call it back and go that was, if we need to make that formal motion.
No, we don't. No. She just asked if you read it.
Any other comments? Well, I guess the next thing is divvy up the money.